Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel for this brand new series where we're going to be breaking down some of Lightning Legends' career in the NHL. If you guys enjoy this series, be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more content like this. And let us know in the comments down below who you want to see us talk about next. Also, I want to give a huge shout out to everybody that's been watching our videos recently. It's been a lot of fun for us, and I'm very excited to see the channel continuing to grow. So with that said, let's get right into this video. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and as always, go Bolts! There are a lot of Lightning legends that we've come to know and love over the years, but perhaps the biggest Lightning legend is none other than Dave Andreychuk. He had one of the most amazing NHL careers that I've ever personally seen, and did so much for the Lightning franchise. Obviously, the biggest thing that everybody would point out is he was the leader of the team that ultimately won the franchise their first ever Stanley Cup in 2004, and we'll get to that a little bit more in a minute. But let's take a look at Dave Andreychuk's career and what made him such a special player. Now, Dave Andreychuk was drafted in 1982 in the first round, 16th overall, by the Buffalo Sabres. Dave Andreychuk would go on to play for a lot of different teams, including Buffalo, Toronto, New Jersey, Boston, Colorado, and the Tampa Bay Lightning. But his first 11 years, actually, was spent in Buffalo. Dave played very well in Buffalo. In fact, in just his second year, he had over 80 points. This is not something you see very often with young rookie players. Sometimes it'll take them a couple years to get going. But Dave Andreychuk got right into things and was on fire right away. His best year came in 1991 with the Buffalo Sabres when he had his first 90-point season, a total of 91 points that year. So Dave Andreychuk was already making his name known in the NHL. Now, when he was in Buffalo, he made the playoffs 9 out of 12 years, but never really made it that far. He only played a total of 7 games each year during the playoffs, which puts you in about first, maybe second round, depending on how you did. Now, he would be traded to Toronto in 1992 to 93, and he had a 99-point season that year. It was one of his best years. But his best year, I think, actually came in 93 to 94, where Dave had 45 goals, 46 assists, and 99 points once again. That was with the Toronto Maple Leafs. When he was traded to Toronto, his play continued to be at the elite level it was with Buffalo, constantly putting up points and constantly scoring goals in the power play. That's one of his biggest accomplishments in his early years. This guy knew how to score goals on a power play, and he continued to do that throughout his entire career. Now, the furthest he ever made it in the playoffs with Toronto was the conference finals. They actually lost to the Los Angeles Kings that year, and the Kings would go on to lose in the Stanley Cup finals, but that's besides the point. Dave Andreychuk would then be traded to the Devils in 95-96 season, and he became a different kind of player when he was traded to the New Jersey Devils. His time in New Jersey was also very important for a number of different reasons. First, he played his first 82-game season, which is crazy to think about. He only had one season where he played a full 82 games. Now, after leaving the Devils in 1999, the Devils would go on to win the Stanley Cup the very next year. Now, this is a big deal for a number of reasons. Obviously, the Devils won their big Stanley Cup, and Dave Andreychuk had been in the league for a long time now and really been chasing that Stanley Cup. Remember, when players get into this league, their ultimate goal is to win the Stanley Cup. So to be traded off a team like that after having played for so long and then to go on to win it the very next year, that can be a big deal and kind of a downer for a lot of players. However, Dave would go on to play with the Boston Bruins and the Colorado Avalanche for the next two years, but he never played a full season with either of them. He played 63 games with the Boston Bruins and 14 games with the Colorado Avalanche. He would also go back to play for Buffalo for 1 year, but then joined the Bolts in 2001. And now this is where I think Dave Andreychuk's different style of play really came to shine. As I mentioned, Andreychuk joined the Bolts in 2001. He was named the captain of the team the very next year. I don't think people realize how big of a deal that is. Many teams only have 6-7 captains in their entire franchise history. To become a captain, it's a huge deal because it means that you are a leader in the locker room, you're a great player on the ice, and also a great person off the ice as well. To be named a captain after just 1 year with a team just goes to show you how much of a leader Dave Andreychuk actually was. Obviously, Dave Andreychuk would go on to win the Cup with the Bolts in 2004, which was one of his greatest accomplishments. It was a huge deal for him as he'd been chasing that Cup for so long. Now, unfortunately for Bolts fans, Dave Andreychuk would go on to retire in 2006, just a couple years later. However, something that I think is also really cool about Dave Andreychuk's career, especially with the Lightning, is that he still remains with the Bolts today. And I think that just goes to show you how important the Lightning franchise was to Dave Andreychuk and how important Dave Andreychuk was to the Lightning franchise. Most people would expect him to go back to Toronto maybe or Buffalo, where he spent a majority of his career, but he didn't. He stayed with the Bolts. He still does pregame shows and sometimes does intermission reports during the Fox Sports Bolts broadcast. Dave Andreychuk would be named to the Hall of Fame in 2017. If you ask me, it took a little too long to get him in there. Now, I'm a little biased because he's one of my favorite players of all time. But it was a huge accomplishment for Dave Andreychuk. Obviously, being named to the Hall of Fame is something every player dreams about and never really expects to do. But he's one of 5 Lightning players to ever be named to the Hall of Fame. But perhaps Dave Andreychuk's biggest accomplishment actually comes in the record books. That's right, you heard me correctly. Dave Andreychuk holds an NHL record, and this is a huge deal, especially when you have a guy named Wayne Gretzky who holds nearly every single record there is. Dave Andreychuk holds the record for most power play goals with 274. This guy, as I mentioned before, was amazing on the power play and was a threat to be recognized. Dave Andreychuk meant so much to this organization, and there is without a doubt in my mind, even though he only spent 4 years with the Lightning, he was a special kind of player. He was a leader, he was a great player, and most importantly, he won the franchise their first ever Stanley Cup, which changed the path of the Lightning forever. Who knows where the Lightning would have been at if we never would have had a guy like Dave Andreychuk. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a little about Dave Andreychuk and why he meant so much to the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. And as always, go Bolts.